My fiancé wants to bring his sickly cousin-in-law into the household, so I broke off the engagement and ran away. My fiancé, Lu Kang, has a sickly cousin-in-law. He was worried day and night about his cousin's persistent illness, and even proposed to bring her into the household first before marrying me. If I don't take care of her, she'll have no family left in this world. I found his reasoning quite sound, so I personally knelt before the emperor for 3 days, requesting a document to break off the engagement. Later, I resolutely left the capital. Lu Kang stopped me outside the city, his eyes red, and asked me, "Why don't you want me? How dare you break off the engagement?" I was on horseback and didn't even turn my head. "It's dirty, so I don't want it anymore." 2 nights before the Mid-Autumn Festival, I caught a chill, and when I woke up in the morning, I couldn't stop coughing. Chen Tao went to the kitchen to decoct the medicine. After a long while, she returned with the medicine, her face full of anger. The cousin is truly not treating herself as an outsider. My freshly decocted medicine. She wants to take it just because she said she has a cold. Chen Tao's tone was indignant. She snorted softly. "She's too much of a stranger. She wants to snatch anything that belongs to you." I took the bowl of dark medicinal liquid, signaling her to stop talking. If we're talking about who is the outsider, because of my engagement with Lu Kang, I was staying at the Yangon Marquis residence. Compared to Lu Kang's cousin, don't I seem more like an outsider? The medicine was extremely bitter. I ate 2 or 3 candied fruits to barely suppress the taste. But it wasn't the first time Song Ji had done something absurd like snatching medicine. Ever since she arrived, she first used the excuse of being cold-bodied and took the white fox fur from my storeroom. Then she said she was afraid of the dark and borrowed the night-blooming pearls. A few days ago, she said my hair ornaments were nice and coaxed Lu Kang into having an identical set made for her. Even the medicine I need to drink for my cold today, she wants to snatch. I really don't understand. Clearly, Miss is the young Marquis' fiancé, so why is the young Marquis always favoring her? As soon as Chen Tao finished speaking, Lu Kang walked in, with a dark face. He walked straight up to me and said, "Shui Yao, was that necessary?" I didn't understand what he meant, and his face darkened even further. "It's just a bowl of medicine. What's wrong with letting her have it?" The bitterness that had been suppressed by the preserved fruit rose again from the root of my tongue. He didn't ask me what illness I had that put me in bed. He couldn't see my unadorned eyes or my pale complexion at all. He was just instinctively coming to defend Song Ji, just like last time when he came to ask for that set of hair ornaments for Song Ji. Anyway, anything of mine that Song Ji fancied. In Lu Kang's mouth, it all turned into a single phrase. What's wrong with letting her have it? Before it was the fox fur, the night-blooming pearls, the hair ornaments, and now even a bowl of medicine must be yielded. A chill was already spreading through my heart, and I said in a gentle voice, "Lu Kang, I'm sick, can't you see?" Only then did he belatedly realize, but he still didn't say anything, leaving with a pale face. Chen Tao was furious. "Miss, you're really becoming more and more tolerant. I really don't know what's so great about the young Marquis." "Yeah, what's so great about him? He just saved my life once." Lu Kang and I had a marriage engagement since childhood, an imperial edict bestowed by the emperor, forging a good relationship between our 2 families. But I grew up with my entire family in the northern desert since I was young, and I never met him, not even once. Whenever this marriage was mentioned, my father would puff up his beard and curse, saying that old Marquis Lu was not a good person, and his son surely wouldn't be strong either. But before he could write a letter back to the capital city, he died in a war. My mother also passed away that year. From then on, I completely became an orphan. The emperor summoned me back to the capital city. When the carriage reached Jizhou Road, we encountered mountain bandits, and the servants escorting me fled the carriage and ran. I was only 12 years old that year. Even though I had learned some martial arts by my father's side, it was completely insufficient. Mountain bandits don't care who you are, what your status is. Once they get their hands on you, you're just reduced to a woman for their use. My hands and feet were tied, and I was so scared that my whole body turned cold, my eyes red from crying. Lu Kang appeared at that time. He came down like a soldier from heaven and saved me, and very carefully helped me off the horse, scratching his head and saying, "You are Shui Yao." "I am." He hesitated a bit, a little embarrassed. "My fiancé." Later, fearing that the news would spread and damage my reputation, he ordered everyone who went that day not to spread it outside. That was the only kindness I encountered on my journey to the capital city after my parents died. When I was displaced and far from home, he seemed born to save me, and later, during those days when I faced disdain in the capital city, Lu Kang also unhesitatingly shielded me, so I thought later. It was really too easy for the 12-year-old me to like Lu Kang and depend on him. Even before Songji came to the Marquis Manor to visit relatives, I thought Lu Kang and I were mutually in love, but then Songji appeared, and everything changed. The next day, Lu Kang awkwardly came to apologize to me. He didn't often apologize to people, so he just placed a large basket of freshly picked fruit on the desk by the window for me, carrying the chill of early autumn. When I woke up, I slowly walked over to look, and Lu Kang, hiding behind the window, scared me, saying as if seeking credit, "I got up early to pick these behind Wanfu Temple. Don't you love eating these?" Seeing that I didn't react, he leaned closer again. "Shui Yao, don't be angry anymore." I looked at the ripe fruit, and remembered the time we went to Wanfu Temple together. When we were going down the mountain, I saw bright red fruits hanging on a tree in the distance, and I jokingly said I wanted to eat them. Lu Kang stopped the carriage and personally climbed the tree to pick them. In the end, he brought back quite a few in his robe without any regard for his image, his eyes shining as he said to me, "They aren't very ripe yet. Let's come back in August." The fruit that time was sour. I thought Lu Kang had forgotten about it, but he still remembered. My heart felt like it was gently caressed by a feather, and it seemed that Lu Kang easily won me over with a basket of fruit. It's easy to forgive Lu Kang. The fundamental reason is that I'm not that hard to coax, but out of pride, I still kept a cold face. What's the point of picking them to eat? It's boring. He immediately took the opportunity to say, "Tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I'll take you to Wanfu Temple to offer incense." He leaned in with a grin, as if the previous rift didn't exist. "You're not angry anymore, right? Try them. The fruit this time is really sweet." Admitting that I was easily pleased by Lu Kang was a bit embarrassing, so I just turned my back and nodded, saying, all right. I repeated in my heart, "Lu Kang isn't always like this." I spoke up for him in my heart. At least he's been very good to me most of the time. But it wasn't until I got into the carriage before leaving that I knew Songji would also go along. It was only early autumn, yet she was already wearing my white fox fur coat, standing at the door and coughing in the wind. Seeing me come out, she also had a smiling face. "Sister Shui, today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. Cousin said to let me go for incense too. My body is not well." Praying for blessings and peace. My smile didn't reach my eyes. I didn't want to play along with her. "I heard that cousin will be returning to her home in Jizhou in a few days. It's appropriate to go offer incense. Once you go home, you won't have the chance." My words were unpleasant. Songji's smile almost couldn't hold. She affected a pose, tucking a stray strand of hair by her temple, as if hinting at something. "Thank you for your concern, Sister Shui. It's not yet decided." Lu Kang rode over from a distance. Clearly, Songji and I were standing together, but it seemed as if his eyes could only see Songji. From afar, he frowned and reprimanded Songji. "The wind is strong outside. Why aren't you getting in the carriage yet?" Songji glanced at me subtly, said all right, and got into the carriage ahead of me. Chun Tao snorted beside me. "Isn't this young marquis deliberately causing trouble for people? Why bring her?" Thinking that Songji would leave in a few days, I decided not to bother with her. But when I arrived at the 10,000 Buddha temple, I realized that, due to the Mid-Autumn Festival's elegant mood, the princess hosted an all-vegetarian banquet, and young ladies and gentlemen from famous families in the capital city were all present. Lu Kang was afraid I'd be unhappy, so he didn't tell me in advance. Naturally, I didn't receive a separate invitation. All these noble ladies in the capital city hate me. Lu Kang naturally knew this, because I hadn't married yet and was already living at Lu Kang's house. Years ago, I was implicitly and explicitly cursed countless times for being shameless. Songji's expression was calm, and she was clearly aware of this. Only I was kept in the dark. Lu Kang didn't notice anything unusual and was still trying to persuade me. "If you don't like it, well, leave in a bit. The princess invited us, so it's not good to not come." I looked at him, feeling both tired and sad. Didn't he know these people disliked me? Of course not. It's just that he's used to my forbearance, used to me always putting him first. He's used to me never refusing when he asks. He naturally knew I didn't like it, but this way was the simplest, so my dislike became less important. So after he once again asked me, "Is that okay?" I nodded and said okay. Lu Kang then quickly blended into the crowd and disappeared without a trace. With Lu Kang gone, voices of discussion soon came from the surroundings. How dare she show up? What a joke. If I were her, I'd stay indoors every day. Utterly shameless. In the past, when they said these things, Lu Kang was always by my side, and he would earnestly speak up for me. "Shui Yao is my fiancé. Looking down on her is looking down on me." He had been saying such things from years ago until now. Those people, out of consideration for appearances. Even if they looked down on me, wouldn't say bad things about me to my face. But when did it actually start? Lu Kang, who always protected me behind him, also disappeared without a trace. Was it at the last Lantern Festival, when Lu Kang left me alone in the street to take Songji, who had caught a cold, home first, or the time before that, when Songji casually mentioned wanting to eat falling cake, and he sneaked away from the poetry gathering, leaving me behind? On each occasion that Lu Kang so casually abandoned me, I found it hard not to admit that I wasn't that important to Lu Kang either. It's just that my body and heart still instinctively moved closer to him, forgiving him. I expressionlessly moved away from those probing glances and wandered aimlessly to the back mountain alone. After the autumn arrived, most of the flowers had withered, leaving only the trees on the back mountain heavy with fruit. Before I got close, I saw Lu Kang hanging on a tree picking fruit from afar, and my heart instantly felt like it was being tightly squeezed. 1 second I thought he was wicked. The next second, seeing him still remember to pick fruit for me, my heart felt sour and soft again. It seemed like even disliking him, which should have been natural, had become difficult. But before I could call out to him to be careful, I first saw him with his head lowered, speaking softly to someone I didn't know. The woman's voice was crisp, but she would cough after speaking a couple of sentences. Cousin, it's really sweet. Lu Kang looked down at her, smiled, and threw down a few more fruits, instructing her with gentle concern. Don't stay in the cool air too long. You'll have to take medicine again when you get back. My smile froze on my face, and I quickly realized that the person waiting for him under the tree was Songji. My heart, accustomed to numbness, could still feel the pain. Even if I were slower, I would have realized at this moment that the fruit wasn't picked for me. So, the special treatment I thought Lu Kang gave me wasn't exclusively mine after all. Lu Kang's teasing and caring demeanor were never just for me, but even if I told myself this 10,000 times in my heart, it still wouldn't be as upsetting as seeing it with my own eyes. But before I could turn and leave in distress, he heard Songji give a very obedient "oh" and then suddenly asked him, Cousin, Auntie said last time to have you marry me first. Will Sister Shui be angry if she knows? Very quickly. The next second was Lu Kang's very casual reply. Shui Yao's reputation is so bad, who else would marry her besides me? Besides, if I hadn't saved her back then, she would have been defiled and killed herself long ago. His tone was light and breezy, as if discussing someone of no importance. In that instant, I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. It was as if in the previous second he was still arrogantly blocking in front of me, saying without reservation, Shui Yao is my fiancé. And in the next second he changed to a mocking tone, saying again, if I hadn't saved her, she would have died long ago. So that's how it is. When he faced Songji, that obvious lack of control turned out to be his true feelings. And those moments that I treated as divine pronouncements, that I desperately wanted to engrave in my heart, that I felt he had saved me, were actually his unwilling actions. As for the evidence that I thought he also liked me, he could actually easily produce it and share it with others. The fruits on the back mountain of Wanfo Temple don't ripen until August, but I only got to taste them once when they were sour and astringent. I suddenly felt it was ridiculous. In the past, he had also blamed those who said my reputation was bad countless times, but now he also dislikes my bad reputation. He was so calm, as if the Lu Kang who protected me before had never existed, tearing off that self-deceiving fig leaf. The truth is a scar that runs deep to the bone. The early autumn wind was very cool. I shivered as I stood in the wind, and it was only then, in a daze, that I realized my face was covered in tears. That day, I went home in a daze. Chen Tao's eyes turned red with worry when she saw my lost expression, and she cried, asking me repeatedly what was wrong. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time without moving, and only then did I feel a throbbing, twisting pain in my chest, so painful that I could barely make a sound. My tears had already dried up on the way back to the city, leaving only tears from physical pain. Chen Tao went to call the doctor, but returned crying a short while later, saying that Miss Biao had caught a chill on the mountain and was not well after returning. Lu Kang, in his anxiety, had already summoned all the doctors. Miss, he said you shouldn't pretend to be sick, and that doctors aren't allowed to come over. Strangely, upon hearing this, my heart didn't hurt anymore. It just felt hollow, as if a large chunk of my heart had been dug out. The curtain was blown up by the wind, and through the window, I saw a bright, clear moon. It was so bright outside. The moon in Bayamo is just as round. As soon as I close my eyes, I feel like father and mother are still by my side. My nasal cavity felt sore and bitter, and for the first time I sadly thought, So the moonlight in the capital is also different from the moonlight in northern desert. Otherwise, why is such bright moonlight? How come it has never shone upon me even for a moment? This is not the first time I've been disappointed in Lukang, but it's the first time I've wanted to leave here. I want to go home. Lukang came to hold me accountable the next day. You left yesterday without a word, and didn't come to the family's mid-autumn festival banquet. He looked at me with a seemingly helpless and disappointed expression. Shui Yao, what are you angry about again? I looked at him with a calm, unruffled gaze, as if looking at a stranger, tired of explaining, tired of guessing his emotions, tired of refuting and proving myself. What's those? So I just casually continued to ask him, do you need something? Lu Kang's expression seemed a little embarrassed again. He pursed his lips, was silent for a long time, and then finally spoke. I've already discussed it with mother. Cousin is seriously ill, so it's better to continue staying in the capital. It's just that there's no title for staying here like this, so we've set a date. Next month. He didn't dare to look me in the eye, as if this sentence was difficult to say. Next month. Well, marry her first. Perhaps seeing my lack of reaction, he quickly explained, you are still my main wife. That won't change. And I won't do such a thing as favoring concubines over my wife. It's just that cousin. Her family has no more relatives. Lu Kang added with a displeased expression. Shui Yao, I've wronged you. Of course he knew. To take a concubine before even marrying. If he were marrying the daughter of a high official today, he would surely be pointed at by 1,000 fingers. But because it's me, because I'm easy to bully, so he could easily appease me with a simple I've wronged you. Songji has no family left, so he felt he had to take good care of her. But what about me? I have no parents either, yet am still a duckweed in the capital city, trampled upon by anyone. In front of me, Lu Kang's guilty expression gradually turned impatient amidst my long silence. I suddenly felt like laughing. How could I have liked such a selfish, greedy, and foolish person for so long? So I truly smiled and said to him, all right, as you wish. Watching Lu Kang's relieved look, I felt disgusted for no reason. Everyone in the capital city is a ghoul wearing a tiger's skin. I'm not playing anymore. I should have stopped playing long ago. They said it was to take a concubine, but the pomp and ceremony were not small. After all, she is the sister of a cousin. The whole mansion was decorated with lanterns and streamers, making me, the legitimate fiancé, seem redundant. Songji was pleased with herself, and immediately became arrogant. Her complexion improved a lot, and she came to show off in front of me. I heard that Sister Shui has a bright red fox fur shawl. I wonder if you could lend it to me. She put on a shy expression. The wedding was arranged in a hurry, and there wasn't enough time to prepare many things. The meaning of showing off was obvious in her words. For the first time, I examined this person without any prejudice or jealousy. She is not very smart, but not foolish either. In a disadvantaged position, she knows how to climb up and firmly grasp Lu Kang. She has indeed succeeded. Becoming the favored concubine of Lu Kang is already the best outcome for someone of her background. But there's just one thing. She shouldn't have treated me as a hypothetical enemy. It's not her fault to be dissatisfied with her background, but she shouldn't have provoked me. I suddenly chuckled, and before she could react, I snatched away the unsightly fox fur coat she was wearing. The northern desert is severely cold. This white fox fur coat was found for me by my father. I haven't worn it again since returning to the capital city. Now it looks unsightly on Songji. She touched it. It's dirty. I don't want it anymore, but I don't want it, nor will I give it to her. I casually took a candle and threw it on top, and the rapidly ignited flame scared Songji's small face pale. She looked at me with unfamiliar eyes as I got closer and closer. The next second, my eyes were cold, and I unceremoniously tore off the pearl and jade hairpin on her head, which was said to have been bought with a huge sum of money by Lu Kang. Songji showed a look of fear due to her apprehension. What are you? To be worthy of wearing the same thing as me. Her hair was pulled by me, and her face was pale, yet she dared not make a sound. It was the first time I felt exhilarated. I told Chen Tao to get that imperial edict of betrothal from back then, and after putting on the horse, I was about to enter the palace. Lu Kang stopped me outside the main gate. He didn't know I was going to break off the engagement yet, and was full of anger, clearly intending to stand up for his good sister who was so scared she lost her wits. Shui Yao, what a good deed you've done. He was furious, and seeing that I had no intention of paying attention to him, but instead simply got on the horse, he became even more enraged. What can she threaten you with? Isn't being my legal wife enough for you? I'm merely taking a concubine, and you're already so jealous. Shui Yao, you. It was probably when he reached this point that he realized he had spoken too harshly. He exhaled, and probably very reluctantly offered me a way down. Apologized to Aji, and well forget this ever happened. Sitting on my horse, I looked down at him disdainfully and realized he was just like everyone else, greedy, ordinary, without the halo I bestowed upon him. He was nothing. I raised my horsewhip high and lashed it down hard onto his hem. Lu Kang, unable to dodge, was startled. When I looked up again, it was my icy face. Apologize. Does she deserve it? Take one more step forward, and I'll strike both of us. The marriage was a gift from the late emperor, and my asking for an imperial edict to break it off was already great disrespect. Because of this, I didn't even get to see the emperor, being stopped outside the Zhangwangming Hall first. Without a word, I held up the imperial edict and knelt on the bluestone bricks, requesting a letter to break off the engagement. But I knelt from dawn until noon without any decree for an audience, and I knew then that making me give up was also the simplest way to handle this matter. The emperor didn't want to be blamed for defying the late emperor, nor did he want to offend the Yangon Marquis residents for no reason. And I, an orphan girl, I was just an orphan girl. My father died, and I was nothing. The capital is full of princes and marquises. Solving this matter only requires sacrificing a small me. How simple. I understood this logic long ago, but I still have to kneel. I don't have a distinguished background, nor do I have parents who worried tirelessly for me. My injustice. Only I care about it. The sky darkened and brightened and darkened, until in the end I could no longer distinguish between day and night. My vision was a blur, and only the pain in my knees kept me exceptionally clear-headed. In the second before my consciousness blurred, I heard someone call my name, with a hint of helpless intimacy. Yao Yao, why are you still so stubborn? Perhaps because no one had called me that for such a long time. In my dazed dream I returned to Beima. When I was 12, my family held 2 funerals in a row. Less than half a year after father died on the battlefield, mother died at the end of that year. Shui Yang handled all the funeral matters. I had already been so devastated by the 2 almost consecutive events that I washed my face with tears day and night. Shui Yang is my father's sworn son, and also my brother, so I didn't expect that when the imperial edict from the capital came down, ordering me to go to Shangjing immediately, he would agree so readily. Beima is my home. Even though my parents are gone, I never thought about leaving Beima. Clearly, I could have just pretended to be sick and dealt with it from afar, but Shui Yang didn't allow it. My coaxing and pleading have always been useless against him. Shui Yang was always strict with me, always like that. So that carriage to Shangjing, he personally saw me off. I cried all the way south from the northern desert, thinking that my only relative in this world didn't want me anymore. Of course, I hated him, especially at the moment I was captured by mountain bandits. I also cried out Shui Yang's name. But it wasn't Shui Yang who came that day, it was Lu Kang. After I had so clearly confirmed that Shui Yang would never care about me again, very naturally, all my dependence and affection were transferred to Lu Kang. But the long time I thought it was, actually wasn't that long. On the 3 years, I lived in the northern desert for 12 years, and I've only been in Shangjing for a short 3 years, at least not long enough for me to forget Shui Yang's voice. When I opened my eyes again, Shui Yang was sitting by my bed. He pursed his lips and told me earnestly, His Majesty wrote you a letter of broken engagement. Shui Yao, come back to the northern desert with me. Even though he had also done wrong, and didn't even say a word of apology, I still felt very wronged. So wronged that the moment I saw him, tears couldn't stop pouring down. Watching Shui Yang flusteredly wiping my tears, I finally couldn't help but burst into tears. It's all your fault, Shui Yang, all your fault. Shui Yang entered the capital city to report for duty because he won a battle. I don't know if I got this letter of annulment, partly because of him, but it's probably true. Shui Yang replaced my father and became the new great general who guards the north in Beima. Beima is thousands of miles away from the capital city, so naturally he wouldn't know what happened in Shangjing, but he could see my grievances. The day I finally left the palace and returned to the Marquis Manor to pack my things, Shui Yang saw me off at the door. He stood silently behind me and said to me, Shui Yao, go get your things back. The matter of me kneeling in the palace for 3 whole days to request the annulment of the engagement had already spread throughout Shangjing, and everyone thought I was overestimating myself. No one thought I would actually get that annulment letter. Lu Kang, of course, didn't know either, so he looked at me with a face full of coldness, still thinking I was leaving in a tantrum after being rejected. Are you done throwing a fit, Shui Yao? I'm just taking a concubine, and you want to annul the engagement. Do you know how many people in Shangjing have been laughing at us these past few days? He took a deep breath. I'm not going to hold last time against you. but Aji has cried countless times over you these past couple of days and even got sick. Go apologize to her. I found it absurd, and also felt like, why is it my fault? So I retorted, what does it have to do with me? If she's so ashamed, why doesn't she just go die? Lu Kang's pupils trembled. He didn't expect me to say such vicious words. Shui Yao, you look down on her that much, just because she's of humble origin. She deserves to die, he blurted out. And how are you any better? If I hadn't saved you back then, you would have been defiled by those bandits long ago, and you'd still be alive to stand here and talk big. After saying it, he realized he shouldn't have said that in front of me. His face instantly turned pale. I am sorry, but looking at him like this, I actually felt a sense of realization. It's like, so that's how it is. These hurtful words, blurted out by him, became a knife to hurt me. He felt like I owed him, so I deserved it. It's a lie to say I'm not sad, but that's all there is to it. I don't have to spend the rest of my life with someone like this. I should actually feel fortunate. I nodded and said, you're right. I do have to thank you. It seemed like the tilted scales finally began to straighten from this moment on, and I could finally stand at the same height as Lu Kang and look him in the eye. I took out the annulment letter that had been in my sleeve and handed it to him. So, we owe each other nothing. Shui Yang stood at the door waiting for me, seeing my luggage. It had changed from a full carriage 3 years ago to just a few small boxes now, but he only paused for a brief moment before helping me mount the horse. Riding half a step behind me, he asked sluggishly and cautiously, if you were wronged, why didn't you write to me? Actually, I wasn't as heartbroken as he expected. It takes more than one cold day for the river to freeze 3 feet deep. Perhaps it's because I had expectations of Lu Kang that I feel so disappointed now. Disappointed that he was no different from any other noble young master in the capital city. He could tell me he loved me with all his heart, and then set me aside out of pity for Songji. I don't doubt his love, but love changes in an instant. If it's not completely mine, I don't want it. My mother told me, if what you pursue makes you lose yourself, lose your freedom, then it's better not to have it. If you foolishly place your hopes on someone to get something, then you are destined to pay a price. It took me 3 full years to reach a conclusion. The answer is, it's not worth it, but thankfully, it's not too late. Seeing that I didn't respond, Shui Yang asked me again, Yao Yao, are you still blaming me for what happened back then? I said frankly, yes. Shui Yang was momentarily stunned by my direct answer. Then he explained, you were still young back then, your parents had just passed away, and I had to be stationed outside the city, so there was no one to take care of you. Moreover, seeing familiar sights would only bring back painful memories, so it would be better to change the environment. I interrupted him. I know, it was for my own good. He paused again. Then why did you? Because you never asked if I wanted to. If I wanted to leave home. If I wanted to go to the capital city. Brother, you didn't care. I stared at him seriously and continued. Actually, it wouldn't have been difficult to keep me in the northern desert. Right. It would have been too much trouble to get an imperial decree. Too much trouble to find someone to teach me academics and needlework. And taking care of a sister who hadn't reached her hairpin ceremony would have invited gossip. So, sending me to the capital city was the simplest option. It didn't matter if I didn't want to go. Right. That's how it was. Brother. I watched his face gradually lose its color, with no emotion in my heart. So why can't I blame you? You are a great general. You have military achievements. You have prestige. But your sister was insulted in the capital city, and you couldn't intervene. You didn't care about me. You didn't care. You just suddenly thought, oh, I have a sister who's coming of age this year and is being raised in the capital city. She's about to get married. And once she's fully married into the capital city, I won't have to worry about her anymore. Ever since my parents died, I've really been a burden to you, haven't I? Shui Yang was stunned by my torrent of words. He instinctively wanted to retort. I didn't. It's just what? Perhaps in reality, he wasn't as cold-blooded and heartless as I described, but that couldn't change the fact that in his heart, I was still someone who could be arranged at will, someone who didn't need her own opinions. The northern desert was once my home, but is it still now? I'm not so sure anymore. Shui Yang was only staying in the capital city temporarily, so he was only assigned a residence for the time being. My words probably really hurt him. After returning to the mansion, had been staying in the study, lost in thought. I knew nothing of this. I just thought aimlessly. If I were to leave the capital city, where would I go? I asked Chen Tao, and she just shook her head blankly, saying she didn't know. After a moment, she stammered, but miss, you're about to come of age. If you argue with the general, what if he marries you off to someone very bad? I could tell she was genuinely worried about me, but I still blurted out, "Then I just won't get married." She was shocked by my matter-of-fact answer. "Then become a nun. How can a young lady suffer like that?" Actually, I was a mess myself, but facing Chen Tao's question, the answer wasn't that hard to say. I won't become a nun, nor will I get married. Anyway, my parents left me a lot of money. Wouldn't it be good to open my own shop? Chen Tao didn't understand, but, she stammered for a long time and couldn't say what was wrong. I patiently coaxed her and asked, "The young Marquis has a distinguished family background, is accomplished in both civil and military arts. Wouldn't it be good for me to marry him?" Chen Tao quickly shook her head. "It's not good. It's not good. The young Marquis wanted to take a concubine first, and he always favored his cousin. You will definitely be wronged if you marry him." I asked again. "Then if my brother and I return to Northern Desert, and I accidentally anger him, and he casually marries me off to a local squire, would that be good?" She shook her head again. "Of course not. How can a young lady who is beautiful and intelligent marry just anyone?" I nodded, my tone righteous. "So, why should I let men decide my fate? I'm so great. Why should I marry anyone just like that?" Such a simple truth, yet it took me 3 years of hitting a brick wall to understand. Chen Tao seemed to understand but not understand, but she had always been a staunch supporter of female liberation, meaning everything I said was right. Soon she firmly took my side. "Anyway, wherever the lady goes, I go." I nodded with satisfaction, thinking that perhaps going south to Hangzhou to buy a small shop and do business wouldn't be bad, when Shui Yang came to tell me, "Lu Kang's cousin hanged herself. Song Ji didn't die." Of course, I have every reason to believe she never wanted to die. Marrying Lu Kang as a concubine had always been her goal, so there was no reason for her to hang herself and die just as it was about to happen. But I can probably guess that her situation must not be good right now, because if her plan hadn't changed, she should have married Lu Kang by now. And after instigating trouble for a while longer, after I and Lu Kang had completely fallen out, even if she became a marchioness, it wouldn't pose much of a threat to her. After all, she could easily snatch that fox fur coat from me, and she could easily snatch other things too. But I broke off the engagement, and I broke it off so publicly. Now everyone in the capital knows that it was because Lu Kang wanted to marry his cousin first and then welcome me as his wife, which angered me and led to the broken engagement. After this, if he tries to arrange another marriage, which good family's daughter would dare to marry him? Besides, Song Ji's reputation is now well known, and the next mistress of the household might not be as easy to bully as I am. Chen Tao listened and said to me indignantly, "Thank goodness you didn't marry into that family, miss. Your cousin is so scheming. If she acts weak like that, the young Marquis must be feeling so heartbroken." I couldn't agree more, but this time it was totally unexpected. The next day, news spread that Song Ji had been sent back to her hometown in Jizhou. Lu Kang blocked me at the door, looking haggard and distressed, with a dazed expression. He apologized to me. "Shui Yao, it was my fault. I've already sent Song Ji back. I was out of my mind before. From now on, I'll only have you." He looked ridiculously humble, as if putting on a show of a prodigal son returning would immediately make me change my mind. "I know you're still angry about what happened before, Shui Yao. I apologize to you. I'm sorry." He took a step forward to take my hand, but I sidestepped and said calmly, "Are your apologies worth much, young Marquis? Men and women should not touch. Please show some respect." He immediately put on a hurt expression, as if my indifferent attitude had pierced his heart. "Do you really have to treat me like this? I'll only marry you, and no one else from now on." This time, before I could even speak, Chen Tao jumped in with an understanding reply. "Young Marquis, whether you marry 1 or 3 is just something you say. My young lady has nothing to do with you anymore. Please stop bothering her." Lu Kang blushed furiously at these words. I pulled Chen Tao behind me. "This world doesn't revolve around you. If you want affection, go find your dear cousin. If you want to turn over a new leaf, come back to me." I enjoyed watching his increasingly pale face. "Lu Kang, the fact that I can still stand here and talk to you properly is already very polite. Next time, just get lost and don't let me see you again." Okay. He had probably never heard such harsh words since birth. The once aloof young Marquis now stood on the street like an abandoned beggar. He mumbled with red eyes, lowering his head, "Why don't you want me? On what grounds did you break off the engagement?" I mounted my horse and rode off without looking back. "It's dirty, so I don't want it anymore." 3 days later, Shui Yang said to me, "Yao Yao, come back to Bayamo with me." Regarding my questions, those deafening words, he seemed to have completely digested them, or perhaps he just forgot them as soon as he heard them. In short, The issues that had stood between us were all ignored by him again, finally boiling down to one sentence. He lowered his face, offering a half-hearted way out. "Come back to Bayamo with me," he said it again. I suddenly thought that the question that had troubled me last time seemed to have an answer at this moment. Without parents, would Bayamo still be my home? No. I shook my head and said, "Forget it. I'm perfectly fine on my own." He quickly furrowed his brow and retorted, "You're almost of age. Where else do you plan to go? A young lady can't possibly manage without someone looking after her. I know you're still angry about what happened last time. I admit I handled it improperly. Once we're back in Baimuo, you can do whatever you want. Shuiyao, you're my sister. I have to look after you." I looked into his eyes, seeming to read the apology and sincerity hidden within. I knew he genuinely felt that taking me back was compensation. If I wasn't happy in the capital city, then I should just go home. But I also knew he didn't truly believe he had done anything wrong. He just felt that I, as a girl, was just a girl who needed his help to make decisions. That's all. Women are always men's subordinates. Everyone takes it for granted, but I don't feel that way. So I told him frankly, "Shuiyang, you owe me an apology for sending me to the capital city 3 years ago, and for not writing me a single letter all these years, for arranging things so casually for me. You owe me an apology." He looked at me deeply, for a long while, then frowned and said, "Shuiyang, have you gone crazy?" Strangely enough, hearing that made me smile. Perhaps I truly have no regrets left. Shuiyang always felt he was right, and the choices he made for me were also right, but I didn't want his right choices. I took 2 steps back, smiled, waved goodbye to him, and said, "See you again if we're fated." I ran onto the carriage and quickly outran them all with the horses. Behind me, Shuiyang shouted angrily, "Shuiyao." In front of me was the wind rushing towards me. Chun Tao poked her head out from the carriage curtain and added belatedly, "Miss, you're not alone. You still have me." I smiled and turned back, saying yes. Chun Tao asked again, "Miss, where are we going?" I drove the carriage forward, and with the jolting, it felt like I was leaving everything behind. "To Yangzhou." "Then let's go to Yangzhou."